You guys might notice that we are sitting in a different car. This right here, some of you might be able to tell what car it is just from the interior. This is the new project. I'm gonna reveal the new project to you guys in the next video. The FRS is going away for winter, so we have cleaned it up and we are getting the car ready for storage. But because this car is going away, every year we get to go ahead and buy a new car, a winter beater type-ish car, and it is right over there. This right over here is my 2006 Lexus IS 250, and this car is a piece of shit. Now this car has so many things wrong with it, and I'm going to save the biggest thing wrong with it for the end. But to start off, you guys are going to be able to tell that this car firstly is covered in salt. All throughout the whole entire car, you guys are going to notice the car looks like it's extremely dirty. It's actually just salt that's covered all over this car. I do live in Canada, and it did just recently snow, as you guys can see around me right over here. And when it does snow, to avoid it freezing up, we go ahead and throw some salt on the ground. There's literally just a pile of salt. And this right here is a huge reason why I don't winter drive the FRS, because this salt, although it does a good job on cleaning the ground, it's not really great for your car. Salt mixed with the cold temperatures, mixed with the wet climate, it does cause rust to cars. And you guys are going to be able to see right over here that is an issue on this car. This car does have rust pretty much all throughout the build, and this right over here is the biggest spot. This is something that if it's not taken care of, it is going to spread really quick. So that is something that I do want to attempt to fix and attempt to take care of. But not just that, the biggest eyesore of this car, and you guys might be able to tell, is that this car is sitting on some ugly wheels. Now these wheels right over here, I don't even know what brand this is. This is some DAI wheels, and it's sitting on 225/40/18. It's supposed to come with 17-inch rims stock, and the previous owner threw on some 18-inch wheels. By throwing on the 18-inch wheels that are not meant for the car, it does mess with the stance a bit. If you look closely, you're going to be able to tell that the wheel well, there is a huge gap, and this right here is not normal, and it's definitely because we have bigger wheels on the car. Now another thing you guys are going to be able to tell, and that is missing on this car, is this door handle piece right over here. Now, if I take a step back here, as you're going to be able to tell, it does stick out quite a bit. It's supposed to look like this. It's supposed to be a cap to cover it. The reason why there's no cap is probably because this door handle is broken. When you close it, it gets stuck, and then you're going to have to like push it in to close it properly. Now moving on to one of my favorite parts about this car, it is the rear end. I am a big fan of the rear end on the Lexuses. Not just this model, I know the newer IS 250s and even the older IS 250s, the rear end is always the best on these cars. Now just the design of it right over here, and I already do know there's a lot of aftermarket parts available for this car, like taillights, a duckbill, a diffuser, and all that type of things. And if I do plan on keeping this car, I will definitely be adding those onto this build. The only issue, however, with the rear end, the previous owner cut some corners and drilled some drywall screws to hold up the bumper. I'm pretty sure this car was involved in a rear end collision. That's why the bumper is kind of not aligned over here. And in order to fix that, they went ahead and drilled some screws into the car. This side of the car, it's pretty much fine other than a few spots of rust that we can go ahead and easily take care of. The only kind of downside to this side of the car is the mirror cap. The mirror cap right over here, it is broken. That's pretty much the only cosmetic issue I want to say on this side of the car. More on the exterior of the car, we are missing the windshield trim around on the driver's side, and then also to match, we are missing it on the passenger side as well. This hood right over here doesn't close, so I'm pretty sure below the hood latch is broken, and that is the biggest reason why I haven't really been able to drive this car a lot, is because of that hood latch. For those of you guys that don't know, it is very dangerous to drive with a hood just like that, because if this hood does prompt open, it's definitely cracking the windshield and it's definitely damaging the car. Moving on on to the interior, and a couple of more things that are wrong with this car is that it is throwing a couple of codes. So we do have the check engine light just in the bottom corner right over there, and then we also have a check VCS light. Check engine light is for an O2 sensor, which is a very easy fix, so I'm not really too concerned about that check engine light right over there. And then the check VCS, it definitely has an ABS problem, which we can probably figure out, and I'm hoping it's not too expensive of a cost. It could be something as small as a wheel speed sensor, or the whole module might need to be replaced. Now this car, however, is a mess, and we haven't got to detailing this car yet. This interior is a huge reason why I love this car. We have the old classic wood design on here. We also have a leather steering wheel with some leather seats. These leather seats also come with heating and cooling seats. For 2006, that's absolutely crazy. And then there's other cool features that this interior has, which is like this button right over here, which pops up a shade in the back. And then we also have other things in this car, like a sunroof. It's also push to start. And we also have electric options all over the car, like the steering wheel, the seat, and pretty much everything is kind of nice and luxury. Now that you guys have seen everything wrong with this car, I'm going to reveal how much I actually got it for and why I decided to go ahead and pick it up. But before we go ahead and do that, let's get started with fixing this car, and we're kicking things off with the most important part, the hood latch. Once we get this fixed, we'll finally be able to drive this thing properly, so let's get to work. Now, underneath the hood, it is extremely dirty, and Lexus loves to cover every single thing up, so we have a bunch of different panels that we need to go ahead and take off. I'm pretty sure, looking at this hood latch right over here, I am almost certain that this hood latch is broken. You can kind of see that there is play right over here as well. Either it's not tight and that latch in the middle is not connected, or it just needs to be completely replaced. I already went ahead and picked up a new one of these from Amazon, so if this doesn't fix, I can just go ahead and replace it. But to start off, we have so many different push clips to go ahead and remove just to get this piece off. This is kind of how it looks underneath the car. We actually have to remove this whole entire front bar right over here in order to get access to this hood latch. So while I'm underneath here, I am taking a look at the car a little bit closer, and everything kind of seems fine. I was really skeptical about the front end. I was kind of nervous that the front end did have some hidden damage like the FRS did. Surprisingly, this seems kind of all right. Now we're gonna go ahead and remove this piece right over here. This is pretty much the intake of the car. And the reason why we have to remove it is because this bolts on to this right over here. I think if I have a bolt, I'm gonna switch this bolt out anyways, because this looks very old and rusty. But once this is out, we have a couple of more bolts to remove, and this whole thing should just pop out. And this is an exact reason why you don't want to have rusty bolts on the car. The bolt just snapped, and it is going to be a pain to get this bolt out. Hopefully I can do it, but this is why you don't run rusty bolts on your cars. Finally, the hood latch is installed. Now let's take this car out for a quick little drive. One thing I don't like about this car though is it starts in 4th gear. When I put this car into like its manual mode, it starts at 4th gear, which is kind of stupid. And then we do have a ECT power mode. As you guys might be able to see on my dash, I just enabled it. So this right over here is kind of like the extra sport, I want to say, which it gives it some extra power. And then when we go ahead and get above like 3,500 RPMs, for example, you're gonna see this tack light kind of just pop up right over here. I did say I was going to tell you guys how much I got the car for, and it honestly might even be in the title of today's video. But I like keeping everything as transparent as possible with you guys and giving you guys a bit more of a realistic approach. I went ahead and picked this car up for $4,800, and I feel like that's a pretty good price for this car right over here. So for this car just being under $5,000, I think this is the best car you can get with all the luxury features this car does have, with the reliability this car has as well, and the crazy aftermarket support that this car does have if you do want to be an enthusiast and you do want to modify your car. I've seen some pretty clean IS builds builds already. So if you can go ahead and find a 250 for under $5,000, I would 100% recommend, as long as it's in decent condition. Now my IS, as you guys saw, it isn't in the best of shape, but those small little things, it helped me bring the price down of the car, and I am seeing a lot more on Facebook Marketplace for under $5,000 now. And the things that I did mention, although there are issues with the car, they're not really huge issues, and they're issues that can definitely be fixed. The only other car I can really think of and compare to this type of car would be like the TLX or the TL. And to be quite honest with you, I'm more of a fan of the IS than the older TLXs and TLs. I also did say I would let you guys know the reasoning why I went ahead and picked up this car. And the reason is because of the low kilometers. This car is only at 188,000 kilometers. This car can easily go up to 300s to the 400,000 kilometers if it is maintained properly. And this car, because of the reliability, it is going to last very long. Now in the next video, you guys are going to see us detail this car. I already found a couple of pieces inside this interior that's going to help us kind of fix this build up and fix the issues that I was explaining earlier. And we're also going to install a pretty big mod, one of my favorite mods I've done to the FRS. Some of you guys may already know what I'm kind of hinting at, but we are going to install that in this car. And if you guys want to know exactly what it is, you're going to have to stick around to find out.
Stop till I hear him say, oh, oh, la, 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 la.